Hi friends. Hi everybody. I'm Katie. You guys know me. I am broadcasting this or whatever you call it on my own personal Facebook page and then on Mosaic's Facebook page. So if you're joining me, thank you so much. A lot of you know I've had COVID for the last couple weeks. I got out of my official quarantine on Monday night, was my last night, and then a lot of you know also that my sweet, sweet, sweet Penny Angel dog died. Sorry. On Monday she got hit by a car and died, and it's just been really hard for me to function. But I'm doing okay and just taking it day by day, and I wanted to teach. I thought it would be good for me to kind of distract. So I'm at my house, and this is going to be a little bit of a slower power flow than I usually teach for my Power 1 and 2 class on Tuesday mornings, but it will still be a really good stretching, strengthening practice. It will last about 60 to 75 minutes, and I have a really beautiful reading I'm going to read at the end during your Shavasana, of course, by Jeff Foster. So thank you. If you're joining me, thank you. I love you. You guys are the best. And also I just wanted to say to my community, thank you for being there for me during all of this shit. I've had a rough couple of weeks, and this past week has been probably the roughest. So thank you I have so many flowers and so many cookies and so many things, like people have texted me, called me, sent me cards. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel so supported and held by you all, so thank you. It looks like the battery on my iPad will probably die. So if you're watching this on my personal page, maybe go to Mosaic's page so the battery doesn't die in the middle of class, but we'll see how it goes. Thank you. And let's go ahead and just get started in a comfortable seat. Come to your mat. You can sit facing the top of your mat. I'm going to sit facing you guys. Sit up nice and tall with length through your spine and length through the back of your neck. If you want to wiggle around a little bit, sometimes I think it feels good to just kind of twist or stretch my arms up, or maybe roll my shoulders or my head around. And then eventually just find stillness in your body. So you can rest your hands in your lap. You can bring your hands to your heart. You can bring one hand to your heart space, one hand to your belly. Close your eyes and start to come into your body a little bit deeper. So think of finding yourself in your heart and in your body rather than in your mind. Start to feel into it. Start to feel into your breath. And we'll start with 3 great big deep breaths together. So next time you inhale, fill up as big as you can. Hold at the top in fullness. See if you can sip in just a little bit more. Exhale, big open mouth sigh, let it go. Do that again. Inhale, fill up. So feel this breath, this prana, this life force energy inside of you. Hold in fullness. Exhale, open mouth sigh. One more time. Inhale as big as you can. And then just all your stress, anxiety, any heaviness you feel like you're holding on the inside, as much as you can, just big, huge exhale, breathe it out, let it go. Seal your lips gently now and start to cultivate your Ujjayi breath. So in and out through your nose, gentle constriction in the back of your throat. Take a moment to just connect with this breath. Make it as deep as you can. So each time you breathe in, see if you can feel your inhales travel all the way down into your belly. Feel your belly expand. Excuse me. And then each time you exhale, empty all the way out and feel your belly button pull in and up towards your spine. Find that little bit of core engagement. So see if you can breathe bigger and deeper than you thought you could. And you can stay here for as long as you'd like, just connecting to your breath, connecting to your own internal rhythm. And then as you're ready, you're going to take your breath with you and transition forward onto your hands and your knees. So tabletop position. No rush getting here, but when you do, just start to explore your own intuitive movement. So that might look like cat-cows, might look like hip circles. Perhaps you just want to sit back into a child's pose, and that's where you stay for a few breaths. So no right or wrong, just whatever feels good to you, whatever calls to you in this moment. Make sure your breath is with you, so constantly reconnect with it. Constantly check back in with it. And just notice how your spine feels this morning, how your hips and your shoulders feel. Think of sending your breath into the tighter spaces. And then in your own time, even in your own way, we'll meet back in downward facing dog. So get there when you're ready. You can take your time. You can move through a vinyasa if you want to. Eventually, we'll just see you back in down dog. So take a moment once you are in your down dog and just be there and explore it. So maybe pedal out your heels or shift your weight from side to side. Maybe shake your head yes or no. Maybe kind of experiment or explore your shoulders. So a lot of, I don't want to say women, but it usually is women just because we tend to have a little more open shoulders and more open joints. A lot of us tend to hyperextend through our shoulders and really press back. So think of keeping your shoulders strong, plugged into their sockets, and then think of pressing back from your heart rather than from your shoulders. So your shoulders stay really strong. And it's a really subtle adjustment. It's a big adjustment, but it's hard to find it subtle. So just explore it. Imagine you've got a rope attached to your belly button and it's lifting up towards the ceiling. It's pulling slightly back so you feel that lift coming from your center. And then as you press your hands forward and down, your hips press back and up. You can keep a big bend or a little bend in your knees if that feels good to you. You just want to find that line of tension down the backs of your legs and then start to soften into it, breathe into it. Take one more great big inhale. And then as you exhale, look forward to the top of your space, the top of your mat, step or hop, forward fold. Give yourself just a moment here to be in your fold. So toes face directly forward and feet are about hips width distance apart. I'm going to take ragdoll pose. You can do the same or maybe even hands behind your head, interlace your fingers. Get the back of your neck some nice traction. If you want to sway or swing or bob, you're welcome to. So try to keep your weight just slightly forward in your feet and imagine that same rope pulling up on your belly button so it's lifting up. Your sit bones are lifting towards the sky. Take a couple more deep breaths. And then next time you breathe in, find your spinal extension. So take a moment to be here today. Top of your head reaches forward, tops of your thighs press back, sit bones broaden. And imagine you're trying to lift your sit bones up towards the ceiling and then stay connected at your center. So your belly button is still pulling up towards your spine. Imagine your back muscles, hug them around your spine. Take one more inhale and see if you can lengthen a little more. Exhale, release, forward fold. Slowly rise. You can roll or reverse swan dive all the way to stand. Inhale to take your arms up, big stretch. Exhale, hands to your heart center. Flow with your breath for a minute. Inhale, arms reach. And exhale, slow swan dive down. With your inhale, find your halfway lift. Exhale, bow, fold in. Root through your feet. Try a reverse swan dive. So heart leads all the way up. Inhale, stretch tall, maybe a little gaze up. Exhale, hands to heart. And let's go again, just like that. Inhale, high mountain. Slow dive down, so really take your time, traction out your spine, try not to rush it. End of your exhale, fold, release. With your inhale, spinal extension, let's get all the rounding out of your back, stay connected at your core. Exhale, fold. Press into your feet, lead with your heart, rise up. Inhale, stretch your arms to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, we're gonna add on just a little bit. Inhale, arms reach up. And as you exhale, cactus your arms, open up your heart. So lift, lift, lift. Inhale, re-extend. And exhale, slow swan dive down. Inhale to a halfway lift. And then as you exhale, tuck and curl little tiny balls. So bend your knees, butt towards the ground, and nose in between your knees. You can keep your feet hips width distance apart, or I'm going to bring my big toes to touch so I can get even smaller. Breathe into your back body. If you're able to, lift your fingertips off the ground and wrap your arms around the fronts of your shins. So give yourself a great big squeeze. Take one more full round of breath here. As you exhale, see if you can get even smaller. Inhale, come back to your halfway lift, so set your heels on the ground, lengthen your spine. Exhale, plant your hands, step back to plank pose. Inhale at the top of your push-up. You can come to your knees if you want. Exhale, lower halfway down. Try not to let your belly drop or your hips sink or your shoulders roll forward. Inhale, press back up. Do it again. Exhale, halfway down. I don't care so much about you squeezing your elbows towards your ribs. Just don't let your shoulders collapse forward. Inhale, press. And exhale, slowly lower all the way down. Inhale, baby cobra. So lift your chest using back strength. Roll your shoulders back and down. Elbow tips point straight back behind you. Press down through your shoelaces, through your pelvis. And imagine you're trying to pull your belly button up away from the ground. It won't actually happen, but create that action. Take one more inhale. Exhale, release. Spider-Man Cobra, hands out nice and wide. Lift to your fingertips. Inhale, chest lifts. And exhale, twist to the right. Dip your left shoulder towards the ground. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, other side. So twist to the left, right shoulder dips down. Inhale, back to center. Lift your heart. Exhale, let it go. Bring your hands to frame your mid-ribs. And then press up to a tabletop position, hands and knees. We're going to be here for just a moment. So if you like extra padding underneath your knees, feel free to grab a blanket or whatever you like to use. So tabletop position, nice and neutral through your spine. So think of pulling your belly button in and up and then pressing the ground away with your palms. Next time you breathe in, take your right arm forward and your left leg back for a spinal balance. So big inhale to lengthen. Try not to arch your back. So think of a happy medium between cat and cow. Take a big, huge inhale. Exhale, elbow to knee, curl and round. Inhale, re-extend. Think of moving in slow motion. Exhale, elbow to knee. Draw your belly button in and up. Inhale, lengthen. See if you can grow even longer. This is your last one. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, re-extend. And then exhale, set just your left knee down. Reach your right arm now out to the right and all the way up to the sky. Big in-breath here. Exhale, thread the needle. So reach your right arm underneath you. Come down to rest on the outside of your shoulder and the outside of your head. Take about 5 deep breaths here. You can go anywhere you want to. So if you want to bind, wrap your left arm behind your back. You can extend your left leg out like a little kickstand. Just don't tell Jason Lawner that I told you to do that. Breathe into your back body. And just in case you're joining me on my personal Facebook page, I think my battery is going to die in my iPad, so maybe switch over to Mosaic Yoga's Facebook page and watch this practice there. Take about 2 or 3 more deep breaths. Just tune into your body. Feel the expansion and contraction. If you happen to have your left hand or your left knee lifted, bring them both back to the ground. And then next time you breathe in, unthread your right arm. Reach it all the way up, gaze up. Exhale, right hand comes down. Let's take it back to downward facing dog. Take a moment, walk it out. Plug your shoulders into the sockets, lift through your belly button. Breathe into all the space you're creating on the inside. So just slow and steady, nice and easy. You guys are awesome. Take one more big inhale into your dog pose. And then exhale, look forward, empty out, step, tiptoe, or hop, top of your yoga mat, forward fold. Once you've arrived, inhale to your halfway lift. Exhale, bow, refold. Root through your feet, reverse swan dive to stand. Inhale, stretch your arms up. And exhale, hands into your heart. All right, flowing with breath right here. Inhale, high mountain. Exhale, cactus your arms. Press your hips very gently forward. Keep a tone through your low abdominals. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, heart guides you slowly all the way down. Take your time, traction out your spine. With your inhale, halfway lift. Get all the rounding out, lots of length. Exhale, fold, plant your hands, step back to plank. One more time, we're gonna take those 2 slow motion push-ups. So inhale at the top, lower to your knees if you want. Exhale, halfway down. Inhale, press back up. And again, just like that, strong arms, strong belly. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press. And then slow as you can go, all the way down. This time, any back bend variation that you would like to take. So whatever would feel good to you. Baby cobra, full cobra, up dog, sphinx, locust, Spider-Man cobra. Maybe give yourself an extra breath or 2. And then when you're ready, let it go. Tabletop position, hands and knees. And again, if you like to pad your knees, then take a moment to do so. So fingers spread nice and wide. Arms are very strong, so make sure you're using the muscles in your arms rather than just sinking into your joints. Draw navel in and up. Think of a nice flat back. So if I had a platter of food, I could set it on top of your back. It wouldn't slide in any direction. Keep all of that. Now take your left arm forward, your right leg back, spinal balance. So gaze down so the back of your neck is nice and long. Try to point your left thumb up at the sky, almost like you're going to shake someone's hand. Press your right foot back and keep your toes facing straight down so your hips are square. Take a big, huge inhale. Pull yourself apart. Exhale, elbow to knee, slowly with control. Inhale, re-extend, lots of length. And slow motion, elbow to knee, curl and round your spine. Draw your belly button in and up. Inhale, lengthen. And one more time, think of moving through honey. Exhale, elbow to knee. Empty all the way out. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, set just your right knee down. Reach your left arm out to the left and all the way up. Big inhale. Exhale, thread the needle. So reach your left arm underneath you. Come down to rest on the outside of your shoulder, outside of your head. You don't want a lot of weight in your head at all. So if it feels like there is, how can you shift that? How can you change that? So get curious and explore. Good job, you guys. You've got about 5 breaths here. And as you just sit and breathe in this posture, I'm going to see if I can find a power cord for my iPad real quick. So big, expansive inhalations. See if you can feel them in your upper back, mid back, all the way down into your low back. And then each time you exhale, take your exhales all the way to the very, very bottom and find a little bit of wringing out. So your belly button pull back towards your spine. All right, my friends, done and done. Your last breath or two here. Set your right hand and your right knee down if they happen to be lifted. Next time you breathe in, unthread your left arm. Reach it all the way back up. Try to touch the sky with your fingertips. Exhale, left hand to the ground. Downward facing dog pose, take it back. All right, from your down dog, inhale your right leg to the sky. So take a moment here. Keep your hips square. Your right hip faces down and maybe slightly back. Press forward and down through your hands. Press up and back through your right heel. Lift from your belly button. Take one more inhale. Exhale, right knee to your nose. So scoop out your belly. Stay here as you breathe in. Press the ground away and see if you can lift your hips higher and round your spine more. Exhale, set your right foot at the top of your mat. And we'll come up to our crescent lunge. So front knee over front ankle, high on the ball of your back foot. Rise up, reach up, maybe gaze slightly up. Think of driving your feet into the ground. And then energetically pull your front heel back and your back toes forward. Breathe down into your belly. Take one more big inhale. As you exhale, turbo twist to the right. So left arm forward, right arm back, bend your back knee so it hovers above the ground. Think of reaching your right arm back further than you want to. So rather than leaning forward, you want to think of just leaning ever so slightly back. Squeeze through your inner thighs, pull your right hip back, but drag your left thigh forward. So you can get a little lower, maybe even kiss the ground with your back knee. One more full round of breath. Inhale, come back to crescent lunge, arms reach. And as you exhale, hands to the earth inside your right foot. Walk your right foot forward and out to the right. Now you're going to stay up on the ball of your back foot or come down to your back knee if you want to modify. See if you can start to lower your upper body closer to the ground and go with your right side first. So rather than just leaning over to the left, see if you can start to work your right shoulder down inside your right knee. Maybe bring your right forearm down. So I like to keep my left hand kind of up to help push weight over to the right, and then right forearm on the ground. You can spin your right toes slightly out to the right if you want to. Don't let your front knee come forward of your ankle. Keep lifting your hips up. So you notice I'm not letting my hips just drop down and getting lazy. Keep a lift in your hips. Your back leg really strong. The front of your back thigh should be engaged, your quad muscle. Take about 3 more deep breaths, and this should feel pretty intense. Let it feel intense. Breathe into it. You can exhale out your mouth if you want. One last big deep breath here. Rise back up to your hands. Walk your right foot back to midline, so you're framing your right foot. Now root into your right foot. Left leg to the sky, standing splits. So get your standing leg as straight as you can, but bend your knee a little bit if you need to. Think of it as a one-legged forward fold. Option to keep your hips square, or you can let your left hip open. Just make sure as you do so, your right hip doesn't collapse. So you keep hugging in through your right inner thigh, lifting from your belly button. Relax your face, soften through your face. You can stay here, maybe wrap your right arm behind your right leg. If you feel like a few handstand hops, go for it. Keep your left leg strong, spread through your left toes. Big breath. So starting to heat up from the inside. Take one more big, huge inhale. And exhale, stay balanced on your right foot, left knee to your nose. Bend your right knee a little bit as well. Now, see if you can stay balanced on your right foot and slowly rise all the way up to standing staff pose. Woo. Arms reach up, left knee lifts, left foot is flexed and active. Take a big inhale here. As you exhale, figure 4. So outer left ankle, top of your right thigh, hands to your heart. You can stay here. This is your pose. This is where you breathe. This is where you work. Or if you want to take it into a forward fold or an arm balance or a twist or any other variation, you're welcome to. You've got about 4 or 5 deep breaths. So today's practice, we're just going to go pretty slow and get in pretty deep. We're not going to do any breath to movement. We're just staying present in each pose and allowing ourselves to settle in with each breath. Keep your left toes flexed. Keep actively pressing your outer ankle to the top of your thigh. Got a couple more rounds. Breathe down into your outer left hip. Slowly start to find your way back upright. And then high mountain pose. So go ahead and stand up tall, set your left foot down, reach your arms up. Big inhale here. Exhale, little baby back bend, cactus your arms, open it up, make it feel good. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, slow dive down. Inhale, halfway lift, spinal extension. Exhale, tuck and curl your little tiny potato bug ball. Stay here for a couple of rounds. So maybe wrap your arms around the fronts of your shins. Breathe into your back body and stretch your back body. Each time you exhale, think of connecting to that deepest part of yourself. Pull your belly button back and up. With your next inhalation, find your halfway lift again. So realign, re-lengthen. Exhale, plant your hand, step back to plank. You take your vinyasa your own way or skip it, and we'll see you back in down dog. So you can add push-ups, you can take it on your knees, you can substitute cat-cow, child's pose. Reconnect to your breath if you've lost it. Fire it up again. Next time you breathe in, take your left leg high. So press your hands forward and down. Press your left heel back and up. Hips are square. So most of us with our hips square can't lift our leg quite as high. That's okay. Just be okay with that. Let go of your ego. See if you can get your left leg really straight and strong and powerful. So a lot of times we think our leg is straight. See if you can engage through the front of your thigh and get your knee to feel really supported. Straighten your leg more, make it powerful. Take one more inhale. Exhale, now bend your left knee to your nose, curl in, hollow out. Your hips are nice and high, you're on your back tiptoes, stay here as you breathe in. And then exhale, step your left foot forward, rise up to your crescent lunge. So hips nice and square, nice and level. Think of ever so slightly pulling your left hip back, your right hip forward. Tone through your low abdominals. Lift through your chest. Reach through your fingertips. So high on the ball of your back foot. And then staying high on the ball of your back foot, imagine you're trying to press your heel back away from you. And then see if you can find a little more length in the back of your leg. And then maybe more of a stretch in the front of your right hip, those hip flexor muscles. Take one more inhale. Exhale, twist to the left, right arm forward, left arm back. So turbo twist, back knee bends and hovers. Try to lean a little further back than you think you should. So a lot of us kind of lean forward. Reach your left fingertips back. Squeeze through your inner thighs. If you're like me, your legs are shaking right now. Think of pulling your left hip back, your right thigh forward. Maybe get a little lower, maybe kiss the ground with your back knee. One last round. Inhale, unwind, crescent lunge, reach. Exhale, hands to the earth, inside your left foot. Walk your left foot out to the width of your mat and a little bit forward as well. Keep your hips lifted. So imagine there's a string now attached to your tailbone or your sacrum. It's pulling up and it's tugging slightly back. See if you can start to get lower through your left side, your left upper body. So think of bringing your left shoulder down to the inside of your left knee, and then maybe your left forearm comes down. So the intention here is to not lean over to the right and let this pose collapse. You want to keep everything really strong. We're working the mobility in our left hip. Soften through your face, soften through your heart. Take about 3 more breaths. One last round. Maybe exhale out your mouth. I'm going to say one more round. I feel like I sped that up a little too quickly. I know you want to be done. Stay with it. All right, end of your next exhale. Come back up to your hands. Walk your left foot back to midline, so frame your left foot. And then standing splits is next. Right leg floats up. Keep your hips square or open up your right hip. Just do it with awareness and intention. So your left inner thigh hugs in, your belly button lifts up. Relax your neck. Go wherever you want to go. So maybe left arm wraps behind your left leg. Maybe you plant your palms, play with your handstand hops. Your pose, just be with it. If you fall out, no big deal. Come back in when you're ready. Right leg strong, right foot active, spread your toes. Take one more great big inhale. Now listen, exhale, right knee to your nose, bend your left knee a little bit as well. Try to stay balanced on your left foot. Press into your left foot, slowly rise all the way up, standing staff. So arms reach up, right knee lifts, flex your right toes back towards your shin. Find your balance. Find your drishti, something to focus your gaze on that's not moving. And then figure 4. Outer right ankle, top of your left thigh, hands to heart, sit back. Breathe into your hips. You can stay right here. This is your pose. This is where you work. Or you can explore it in any way you want. Go for an arm balance, go for a forward fold or a twist. Keep your right foot active. And keep pressing your outer ankle into the top of your thigh. Keep breathing. And if it feels like a lot, which it does for me right now, just be with it. Let it be intense. Let it be even uncomfortable. Soften around it. Breathe into it. Send your breath into those tight places. You've got about 2 more rounds. So we're going to meet in our high mountain. So very slowly with control, start to rise back up. You can release your foot from your leg, both feet on the ground, both arms to the sky. Stretch really tall. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, back bend, cactus your arms, low abdominals stay toned. Inhale, arms reach, re-extend, touch the sky. Exhale, heart guides you down. Forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Exhale, tuck and curl, little tiny potato bug ball, so get small. And again, I like my big toes to touch. It allows me to get even smaller. If you like to keep your feet wider, that's okay. I can't keep my heels on the ground for this posture. If you can, go for it. If you can't, then think of trying to press your heels towards the ground, working the stretch in the front of your, in the backs of your ankles, but working the mobility in the front of your ankles. Take one more round, maybe give yourself that big squeeze. Inhale back to a halfway lift position. Exhale, plunge your hand, step back to plank. This time, pause here. Side plank, right hand is your base. Roll onto the baby toe edge of your right foot, left arm to the sky. If you want to modify, right knee can always come down. If your bottom knee is not on the ground, then lift your hips high. So as soon as you sink your hips, you guys, all the weight is in your wrist. You want to use the strength in your oblique muscles, your core muscles. So lift your hips really high. Maybe reach your left arm forward. Maybe float your left leg up. Fullest expression you can find. You can take a leg variation if you want. Take about 2 more rounds. And then end of your next exhale, plank or modified plank. Inhale at the top of your push-up. Press the ground away. Exhale, slow motion, one strong straight line all the way to your belly. Inhale, baby cobra. So lift your chest using back strength rather than arm strength. Now, this time we're going to move into locust. So float your hands up, reach them back. Float your feet up, reach your toes back. Hug in with your inner thighs. You can stay here or option to interlace your fingers and use that to open up even more through your front body. Think of reaching your hands up and then reaching your knuckles back. Hug your back muscles around your spine. Hug your inner thighs towards midline. Back of your neck stays long, so gaze slightly down. Take 2 more rounds, fullest expression you can find. Feel that expansion and contraction of your breath. And end of your next exhale, let it go, release. Pause for a moment, rest your head to either side. Breathe down into your low back. If it would feel good, you can windshield wiper your shins for a moment. And then in your next couple breaths or so, downward facing dog, however you want to get there. Reconnect to your breath if you've lost it. Fire it back up. All right, from your dog pose, inhale, right leg high. Now notice, try not to sink into your left hand, your left shoulder, or your left hip. Bend your right knee, reach your right knee out to the right and then up towards the sky. So we're opening up that right hip very intentionally. Try to keep your hands rooted, your shoulders strong, and then squeeze through your outer right butt cheek, flex your right toes. See if you can lift your right knee a little higher. One more inhale. Exhale, right knee, left elbow. So a little twist. Keep your chest square to the ground, your hips level with shoulders. Inhale, 3-legged dog. Take it back up. Exhale, right knee, right elbow, or armpit. So get as high as you can on your arm. Keep your hips level with shoulders. You should be on your back, tippy toes. Inhale, 3-legged dog. Exhale, knee to your nose. Scoop out your belly. Then very softly step your right foot forward. Warrior 2. So back heel pivots down. Back foot parallel to the back edge of your mat. And then cartwheel your arms up. Settle in. So bend deeply into your front knee and try to get your front knee to track open towards your pinky toe rather than collapsing in towards your big toe. Think of wrapping your right butt cheek underneath you, but as you do so, don't let your left hip press forward. Looks like I may have lost my iPad, people. I'm sorry, my friends. All right. So nice and neutral through your pelvis while allowing your hips to open. Next time you breathe in, reach forward, tip it over, side angle posture. So right hand towards the ground, left arm towards the sky. You can stay right here, or if you want, maybe reach your left arm forward, half bind or full bind if it's in your practice. You're welcome to go there. I'm gonna stay right here. Keep bending into your front knee, wrapping your right butt cheek underneath you. Keep pressing into the inner and outer edge of your back foot. Back leg should be really, really strong. So you want to feel your back thigh muscles squeezing around your big femur bone. Take about 2 more deep breaths. Next time you inhale, rise back up to your warrior 2 stance. Straighten your front leg. Maybe shorten your stance by just an inch or so. Now, imagine you're trying to pull your hips back as you reach your fingertips forward and then tip it over again. So very similar pose, just your front leg is straight now. Keep your chest and your shoulders open. Keep your hips open. Trikonasana, you can stay here, or if there's a certain variation you want to take, you're more than welcome to go there. A few more deep breaths. Slow and steady. Nice work, you guys. Breathe into the length of your side bodies. Breathe into the length of your front leg. Next time you inhale, root into your feet. Use your core to rise back up. Now, parallel your feet. So turn your right toes to face directly to the left. So all 10 toes are facing towards the left side of your mat. Reach your arms up. Inhale. Exhale, heart guides you all the way down. Wide-legged fold. So you can stay right here, about 5 breaths, or feel free to move and explore in any way you want to. Notice if the weight is in your heels. Try to keep your weight just ever so slightly forward so you're not rocking back. Try to get the fronts of your thighs to engage, those quad muscles, and then breathe down the backs of your legs. Some of you might feel this stretch in your shins as well. If you often get shin splints, this is a great stretch for them. Couple more deep breaths, as long as you stay rooted through the outer edges of your feet. Then you'll get that stretch for your shins. Next time you inhale, find your halfway lift. Fingertips on the ground. And crawl your hands to the top of your yoga mat. Rotate your toes to face forward. We're going to find a variation on warrior 3. So keep your fingertips down, but walk your hands forward so your spine gets long. Back leg floats up. So think of a long, strong, straight line from the top of your head back to your left heel. Stay here, or see if you can bring your right arm forward, left hand to the front of your right thigh. So it's like an asymmetrical warrior 3. Take a couple more deep breaths. One long, strong, straight line from the tips of your fingers back to your left heel. Your right thumb faces up like you're shaking someone's hand. Now, we're going to come all the way up to standing staff. Try to stay balanced on your right foot if you can. So arms reach up, left knee lifts up. Big inhale. Maybe extend your left leg forward. Exhale, left foot to the ground. Follow your breath down, forward fold. Halfway lift, breathe in. Exhale, tuck and curl. Just stay for your exhale. Get super small. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, planch your hands, step back to plank. Inhale here, and then as you exhale, side plank. Left hand is your base, right arm to the sky. Come to your left knee if you feel like modifying. Otherwise, hips lift super, super high. Option to stay here or reach your right arm forward. Maybe float your right leg up. Maybe play with a leg variation. Feel the strength in your left side obliques. Soften your face. Unclench your jaw. Take 2 more deep breaths. All right, you guys, one last inhale. Exhale, plank or modified plank. Inhale at the top to prepare. Exhale all the way to your belly. Inhale, start with your baby cobra. Take it into locust. Hands float up, reach back. Feet float up, reach back. Stay here. Interlace your fingers or full floor bow. Grab your ankles or the tops of your feet. Squeeze with your inner thighs towards midline. Kick feet into hands, pull hands back into feet. Back of your neck stays long. Back muscles squeeze around your spine. Breathe into your front body. One last big breath. Give it everything you've got. Lift, lift, lift. Open. End of your exhale. Let it go. Rest your head to either side. Breathe down into your low back. If you want to windshield wiper your shins, or you can try egg beater, so circling your feet, your shins, in opposite directions at opposite times, like you're throwing them into a mixing bowl. It's kind of a mind-body coordination thing. And then in your next couple breaths or so, however you want to get there, we'll meet back in downward facing dog. Reconnect to your breath if you've lost it. So this practice, one of the reasons why I love it so much is the awareness that it almost forces us to bring into our bodies if we really want to create that change from the inside out. So we can go through the motions of each practice and just kind of do what we've always done, get what we've always got, or we can really tune in, use our breath, use our awareness to go deeper and to discover more than we ever thought possible from the inside. So physically, energetically, emotionally, just stay curious and stay a student. So even when you think you know, I promise there's always more to discover. It's just like life. All right, inhale, left leg to the sky. Try not to sink into your right hand, shoulder, or hip. Peel your left hip open. So bend your left knee, squeeze your outer left butt cheek, flex your toes. I like to imagine, and sometimes I say this in my classes, imagine there's a rolled up washcloth behind your left knee and you're trying to squeeze it and wring it out. Flex your toes, lift your left knee a little bit higher. Stay rooted through both hands. Push the ground away. Take one more inhale. Exhale, left knee, right elbow. That little twist. Don't let your hips drop down. Inhale, three-legged dog. Stretch it out. Exhale, left to left. As high as you can get on your left arm. You should be high on your back tiptoes. Inhale, three-legged dog. And last one, curl in, knee to your nose. Scoop out your belly, then step your left foot forward. Warrior two stance. So back heel pivots down. Windmill your arms up. Take a moment to settle. So left toes face directly forward. Right toes face directly to the right. Wrap your left butt cheek underneath you. So if it feels like your butt's sticking out and your left knee is falling in, you want to reverse that. So wrap your left butt cheek and get your left knee to track open toward your pinky toe. Notice if your right hip just bulged forward, pull it back. So think of a neutral pelvis while allowing your hips to open. Next time you inhale, reach forward, side angle posture. So your own variation, maybe left elbow to your thigh. If your left elbow is on your thigh, imagine you're trying to lift your left side body up away from your thigh. Maybe left fingertips to the ground, maybe a bind, a half bind, maybe you reach your right arm forward. So whatever feels in integrity for you, most beneficial for you. Keep your back leg strong, your back foot rooted. Keep breathing, about 2 or 3 more deep breaths. Imagine you're trying to rotate your heart towards the sky. Nice work, you guys. Next time you inhale, back to warrior two. Straighten your front leg. Perhaps shorten your stance by just a little tiny bit, just an inch or so. Setting up for triangle. So imagine there's a string attached to your outer right hip. It's pulling your hips back. And then as your hips reach back, your left fingertips reach forward and then tip it over. Left hand towards the ground, right arm towards the sky. Keep everything open, your chest, your shoulders, and your hips. There's a certain variation you want to work with, please feel free. Get your front leg as straight as you can. Imagine you're still trying to wrap your left butt cheek underneath you. Try not to hyperextend through your knee, so you want your muscles to be working. You want your front quad to be turned on. Take about 2 more deep breaths. You don't want too much weight in that bottom hand. Press into your feet firmly, and next time you inhale, rise back up. Parallel your feet now, so turn all 10 of your toes to face towards the right side of your mat. Inhale, arms to the sky. This time, listen, exhale, hands behind your back, interlace. Roll your shoulders back and down. If you can, start to reach your hands back and maybe lift your heart up, knuckles towards the ground. One more big inhale. Hands stay clasped. Exhale, dive down, wide-legged fold. You've got about 5 breaths, so if you can keep your hands clasped for at least 3 of those, do so. If you need to let them go, that's okay. Try not to rock back into your heels. I know it's tempting here. Think of lifting your sit bones up by engaging your core. Stay rooted through the inner and outer edges of your feet. Take 1 more breath with your hands clasped. You're welcome to keep them clasped if you want. Otherwise, hands to your low back, gently release. You've got about 2 more breaths. Next time you breathe in, spinal extension, fingertips on the ground. Walk your hands forward, rotate your toes forward, so you're in your lunge now. Warrior 3 with your fingertips on the ground. So crawl your hands off the top of your mat, spine long, back leg floats up. Think of a long straight line from the top of your head back to your right heel. Your right toes point straight down. This can be your pose, stay here, or bring your right hand to the front of your left thigh, reach your left arm forward, so an asymmetrical warrior 3. It's just like a spinal balance. Reach forward and back like you're trying to pull yourself in 2 opposite directions. Try to spin your left thumb to face up. If you're falling in and out like me, that's just fine. That's part of the practice. Take about 2 more rounds. If possible, stay balanced on your left foot. Come all the way up to standing staff pose. So arms reach up, right knee lifts. Maybe extend your right leg forward. 1 more inhale. Exhale, set your right foot down. Follow your breath down, forward fold. Halfway lift with your inhalation. And with your exhalation, tuck and curl. Hold as you exhale, get as small as you can. Inhale back to a halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step back to plank. Inhale at the top of your push-up. Exhale, lower down. Any back bend of your choice, whatever would feel good to you. Give yourself 2 or 3 breaths. And we're just going to take it back into a seated meditation for a moment. So I'm going to come into a hero's pose, just sitting back onto my heels. If you can sit like this, do so. If you can't, you can use blocks or a bolster under your butt, or you can sit in a different way if necessary. So just close your eyes, rest your hands in your lap. If you like screaming toe pose, you're welcome to take that as well. If you want to stretch the bottoms of your feet, just tuck your toes under. So hands on your lap, close your eyes, find your breath, tune into your body. Notice the energy inside of you. Notice the emotions inside of you. Notice where you're holding your tension, where you're resisting, where you tend to tighten without even realizing it. Think of just softening those hard edges. Good job, you guys. Take a moment to reconnect. Fire up your Ujjayi breath again if you've lost it. Feel your belly expand and contract. Soften your face and your shoulders. And then we'll take it back to downward facing dog. All right, from your down dog, inhale right leg high. Exhale, pigeon pose, right shin to the top of your yoga mat. Set your body down gently. So right knee wider than your right hip. Hug towards midline. So just like we would do in a lunge, pull your right hip back, your left hip forward. Find that structure and strength to support the stretch. So it's like you're plugging the femur bones into the sockets so you can safely stretch the muscles around the bones. As you're ready, start your bow forward, humble pigeon. Even as you bow forward, you're not trying to push your hips towards the ground. You're still hugging towards midline. So imagine you're trying to drag your right hip back. And then if you want to go a little bit deeper from there, you can scoot your back knee back a little further. If there's another variation that you would rather take or that will serve you better, then please know you can always do that. And just breathe. You guys are doing awesome. Thank you for being here with me. Give yourself about 3 more rounds. You can exhale out your mouth at any time. And this is where it gets even more fun. We're gonna lift our upper body. And then nice and easy, sit over onto your right butt cheek, so let your hips open. Make 2 90-degree angles with your legs. So you're gonna bring your right shin so it's parallel with the front edge of your mat. Your left shin parallel with the left edge of your mat, your feet flex. So I call this box pigeon. This is the really weird part, and I'm gonna face towards you so you can see what I'm doing, hopefully. All right, so you have your 2 90-degree angles, right? We're gonna work with our front leg first. So I want you to take your right hand and push, just very gently, push down on the inside of your knee. Take your left hand and grab underneath your right ankle. You're gonna think of doing little bicep curls with your left arm. So we're gonna do 10 rounds. Keep your foot flexed and active. So you're gonna push your knee down and lift your heel up. Now, think of doing this as much as you can with the strength in your leg rather than in your arm. So take some weight away from your left arm by trying to find this mobility, just using your own leg awareness, leg strength. So we're working our hip in a completely different way. Keep your foot flexed so we're not pulling on the knee. So you want to lift your foot up, lower it back down, ankle stays strong. Try not to lean to the right too much. Stay nice and upright. So just lift and lower, lift and lower. It's weird, I know. Take about 2 or 3 more. You should start to feel it. Again, as much as you can, try to do the work with your leg. If you're like me, I cannot do it, so I need the help of my arm, but I'm at least trying to get my leg, those muscles to fire. All right, let that go. Now we're gonna work with our back leg. So same thing, this one I can do without the strength in my arms at all. So we're gonna just keep our knee on the ground and lift our back ankle up 10 times. Flex your toes. Try not to lean too far forward. So you wanna feel it's your medial glute, that muscle on the outside of your left hip. Lift and lower about 10 times. It's not a big movement, but you will feel it. Some of you might get a Charlie horse in your left hip. That's okay. Stretch it out. Take a moment. This is the most underdeveloped, underworked muscle in our lower body, our medial glute. So we're starting to wake it up. Take about 4 or 5 more rounds. Good job. Last couple. Set your left foot down. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. So however you want to get there, I'm going to kind of transition through regular pigeon, take it back to a 3-legged dog, give my right leg a little shake out. If you want to flip your dog, you're welcome to. If you want to take a vinyasa, you're welcome to. Eventually, downward facing dog, just walk it out. All right, and other side. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, pigeon pose, left shin forward. So it should feel really good to stretch that outer left hip now. Pull your left hip back, right hip forward. So your left knee is towards the edge of your mat, not center line, not midline. When you're ready, you can start your bow. You've got about 7 breaths here. Keep your front toes active. So try to spread them. So what that does is it keeps all the little tendons and ligaments in place. So as we stretch in our pigeon pose, we're actually stretching our muscles rather than just pulling on those tendons and ligaments around our knee and around our ankle. Especially if you do feel any sort of what feels like it could turn into pain around your left knee when you're in pigeon. And I want you to pay extra careful attention that you're keeping your toes nice and active. Big breaths. About 3 or 4 more rounds. I always have you stay a little bit longer than I tell you I will. You can exhale out your mouth at any time. All right, and then continuing to work with our hips, you're gonna lift your upper body and just nice and easy sit over onto your left butt cheek. Bring your left shin parallel to the front edge of your mat, right shin parallel to the right edge. So box pigeon, 2 90-degree angles. And again, I'm gonna turn to face you just so you can see a little better what I'm doing. So left hand to the inside of your left knee. You're very gently, you're just keeping your knee, you're just trying to keep your knee where it's at so it doesn't lift up when you lift your foot. That's all you're doing. You're not pushing really hard. Right hand underneath your left ankle. Your left foot is flexed. Think of a bicep curl with your right arm. Start to lift your foot. Keep your knee down as much as possible. And then try, as you're doing this, to start to do more of it with your actual leg strength. So someday you don't even need that hand. You're able to lift your foot on its own. Maybe some of you can. I definitely cannot, and I really feel this through my inner thigh, through my groin area. Try to keep your spine nice and tall. Breathe. About 5 more rounds. You're halfway there. Keep that flex in your toes. Your ankle is strong. And we get what we want to get out of it through repetition. So keep going. Last couple. If you didn't feel it in the first couple of rounds, you should be feeling it by now. All right, let go of that front leg and let's move to our back leg. Same thing. So knee stays down, foot lifts up. Try not to lean forward too much. You can a little bit if you want to. If you feel it in your low back, definitely do lean forward a little bit. Keep your foot flexed and lift and lower your back foot. Knee stays down. Feel your right medial glute firing up. About 5 more. Slowly with control. Right foot active, right ankle strong. Good job, you guys. Last couple of rounds. And then release. We're going to stay in a seat. Just swing your right leg around. Baddha Konasana, so feet together, knees apart. Grab hold of the front of your ankles or the front of your shins. Get your feet as close as you can towards your body without feeling like you're going to roll backwards. So if you feel like that, then bring your feet further away from you. Take an inhale, pull back with your arms, and push forward with your chest. So you're leading with your heart. Exhale slowly. Heart leads you all the way down. So think of diving forward and then down. You can crawl your hands forward on the ground in front of you if you want to. Breathe all the way down into your hips. Deep breaths. Every time you exhale, take those exhales all the way to emptiness. Last couple rounds. And then very, very slowly, one vertebra at a time, lift your upper body, roll it up. Head comes up very, very last. Keep your legs in this position. You might need to kind of scoot your body forward, so make sure you have plenty of room behind you and lower all the way down onto your back. Feet together, knees apart, Supta Baddha Konasana. Bring your hands down by your sides, palms face down. Press your heels firmly together. If this bothers your low back, then move your feet further away from your upper body. Take an inhale here, and as you exhale, lift your butt up off the ground, squeeze through your glutes, and imagine you're trying to press your knees down. Lift, 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 squeeze, 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 breathe. And release. We're going to do 2 more rounds like that. So take a big inhale, press your heels firmly together, maybe flex your toes a little bit. Exhale, lift your hips, squeeze your glutes. Imagine you're trying to press your knees down. Keep breathing, keep squeezing, lift higher, and release. We'll do last round. Give it everything you've got. Big inhale, press your heels. Exhale, lift your butt as high as you can. Squeeze through your outer glutes. Press your knees towards the ground, lift your hips higher, breathe deeper, and let it go. Nice work. Bring your knees up, feet on the ground, and then hug your knees in. Rock gently from side to side, and when you're ready, just let your knees fall to either side for a supine spinal twist. So whichever way your knees fall, opposite arm reaches out. You can gaze over your opposite shoulder. Breathe down into your belly. Take about 4 or 5 breaths. Then, in your own time, switch to the other side. Take a moment as you come through center to just kind of realign. So maybe hugging your knees in, giving them a big squeeze, maybe gentle rock, and then knees over to the other side. Opposite arm reaches out. Breathe deeply down into your belly. Please take your time to even yourself out. But when you do feel pretty much even on both sides, come back to center and take a happy baby pose. So soles of your feet face the sky. Maybe you want to rock a little bit or explore a little bit of movement here. So from here, my friends, you've made it to the end of your practice. You can take whatever finishing poses that you want to complete your practice for you. And then just start transitioning into your final relaxation. And as you do so, as you transition, I have this reading for you by Jeff Foster, and it's a little bit longer, so I'll read it and you can just be moving through those last movements and eventually just settle into your Shavasana. This is a reading on grief. I have gotten more familiar with grief as of late and just really been kind of going through it. So I'm going to try my best not to cry. And if I do, I don't even apologize because I know you all understand. He says, at the bottom of grief, we find unconditional love, a love that is not even dependent on physical form. Grief contains its own end, and it doesn't mean that we forget our loved ones. It doesn't mean that we are not visited by them in memory and feeling. It doesn't mean that sadness disappears overnight. It doesn't mean that we don't feel all kinds of things. But we realize deeply that we have not lost anything fundamental to us. The world has not stopped, and they are not truly absent in the way the mind thought they were. The pain of emptiness can become our joy. The ghost of loss no longer frightens us. It is a friendly ghost, after all. We have only been given the experience of knowing our loved one, feeling them, touching them, smelling them, feeding them, holding them, even witnessing their passing. Life cannot take that away. It has only given, and it continues to give, if we have eyes to see it. Perhaps their life and death unfolded in the only way it could have done. Perhaps they lived the path that was right for them, even in the end. At the rock bottom of grief, we find deep connection and humility and not knowing and gratitude and compassion for all humanity, for all who have loved and lost. We encounter the unfathomable mystery of it all. In fully facing ourselves as we are, we discover all of humanity. Although in the beginning it seemed as if we were facing personal loss, in the end, grief can deeply connect us once again to something that cannot be lost, something impersonal and universally true. Grief is a tough teacher, to be sure, a relentless and seemingly cruel teacher, but it is compassionate at its core. The device of our torture becomes our salvation. Remember Jesus on the cross. When faced and not turned away from, our raw grief can serve as an ancient and timeless, non-dual spiritual teaching, a dynamic and alive teaching, a wake-up call to that heartbreaking compassion for all of humanity, the likes of which we once could have only dreamed. The impermanence of things is natural and neutral, and everything passes, and that in itself is not wrong or bad. It is the way, and it has always been the way, and it will always be the way. Loss is only a rite of passage. It is when we forget the impermanence of things and deny it, and we dream of permanence and fix our future, and our dreams are shattered by impermanence, that we suffer and fight the way of things. We all face loss. That is the way. But if we can turn towards our loss and listen to it and stare it in the face, then it may reveal hidden gold, and we may end up seeing ourselves and our loved ones reflected more clearly than ever. Grief is only love in a strange disguise, and it constantly invites us to come closer. So I know grief is something that most all of us have experienced. Sometimes it feels closer than others. But for these last few moments, I'm just going to leave you here. I'm just going to let you stay as long as you can and feel whatever there is to feel. Notice whatever there is to notice. And know that everything you feel in this moment is temporary. It is impermanent. That we, in and of ourselves, are impermanent here on this earth. And that's the way it has always been and the way it will always be. And in that, we find compassion and love and beauty. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you for holding me during this hard time. I love you. Namaste.